Here's a truth most men will never accept. The moment a woman starts testing your boundaries isn't when you should try harder, it's when you should start walking away, but not for the reasons you think. Today, I'm going to show you the one behavior that signals the death of respect in any relationship. Why your ancestors understood this instinctively, and why modern men have forgotten the most fundamental rule of masculine energy. Never negotiate your worth. The Stoics had a saying, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. But somewhere along the way, we forgot that this applies especially to how we allow others to treat us. I'm not talking about leaving at the first sign of conflict. I'm talking about recognizing when someone is systematically dismantling your self-respect and having the wisdom to preserve what matters most, your inner peace and personal dignity. This isn't about being heartless. It's about being clear-minded enough to see manipulation for what it is, and strong enough to choose yourself when others won't. Let me paint you a picture. You're in a relationship. Things are good, or so you think. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, something shifts. She starts testing you. Not playful tests, calculated ones. She dismisses your opinions in front of others. She makes decisions that affect both of you without consultation. She weaponizes your vulnerabilities against you during arguments. She threatens to leave whenever you set a boundary. She rolls her eyes when you express your needs. She makes you feel like you're asking for too much when you ask for basic respect. Here's what's really happening. She's probing to see how much disrespect you'll tolerate. And every time you stay silent, every time you negotiate, every time you try to logic your way back into her good graces, you're teaching her that your boundaries are suggestions, not standards. The Stoics called this the difference between what's up to us and what's not up to us. Her behavior, not up to you. Your response, completely up to you. But here's the part that will challenge everything you've been taught. The right response isn't to fight harder, it's to stop fighting entirely. From an evolutionary standpoint, women are hardwired to test men's resolve. This isn't malicious, it's survival. For thousands of years, a woman's life and the lives of her children depended on choosing a mate who couldn't be easily broken or manipulated by external pressures. If you can't hold your ground with her, how can you hold your ground against the world? But here's where modern men get it twisted. They think passing the test means fighting back, arguing more, or trying to prove their worth through words wrong. The test isn't about your ability to argue. It's about your ability to maintain your standards, regardless of the emotional pressure. A high-value man doesn't argue with disrespect. He removes himself from it. Think about this. When a child throws a tantrum, you don't negotiate with the tantrum. You either ignore it or remove the child from the situation until they can behave appropriately. The same principle applies to adults who choose disrespect as their default communication style. When someone consistently disrespects you, they're not doing it because they hate you. They're doing it because they don't fear losing you, and that's the problem. Think about it. You don't disrespect your boss if you need the job. You don't disrespect your biggest client if you need their business. You don't disrespect people whose absence would genuinely cost you something valuable. If someone feels comfortable consistently disrespecting you, it's because they've calculated that you won't leave. They've observed your patterns, tested your reactions, and concluded that your attachment to them is stronger than your attachment to your own dignity. This is where most men make their fatal error. They think love means tolerating anything. They confuse loyalty with enabling. They mistake persistence for strength. But here's what they don't understand. When you tolerate disrespect in the name of love, you're not demonstrating love, you're demonstrating fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of confronting the possibility that you might not be as irreplaceable as you thought. Society has programmed modern men to believe that walking away makes you the problem, that real men fight for relationships, that leaving means you didn't try hard enough. This is manipulation disguised as virtue. Your grandfather didn't negotiate with disrespect because he understood something we've forgotten. A man who doesn't respect himself can't command respect from others. He knew that his dignity wasn't negotiable, and that any woman worth having would appreciate this quality, not test it. But we've been conditioned to believe that masculine strength means absorbing punishment. That being the bigger person means accepting smaller treatment. That love conquers all, even when all includes systematic emotional abuse. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does, but only to what he does himself." When you're focused on changing someone else's behavior, you've already lost. When you're arguing about respect, you're already operating from a position of weakness. The Stoic response isn't emotional, it's not punitive, it's simply logical. If someone's consistent behavior demonstrates that they don't value what you bring to their life, the rational response is to stop bringing it. This isn't about punishment, it's about alignment. You're simply aligning your investment with their demonstrated appreciation. Epictetus taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about events. When someone disrespects you, the event itself cannot harm you. What harms you is your decision to remain in a situation where disrespect is the norm. Society will tell you that leaving makes you a quitter, that real love means fighting for the relationship, that walking away proves you didn't care enough. This is programming designed to keep you trapped in situations that drain your life force. Walking away from consistent disrespect isn't giving up, it's refusing to participate in your own diminishment. It's choosing your long-term peace over short-term emotional chaos. It's prioritizing your standards over your attachments. The strongest thing you can do is refuse to be where you're not valued. This isn't pride, it's wisdom. Consider this: a lion doesn't argue with hyenas. It doesn't try to convince them to respect its authority. It simply maintains its position and removes itself from situations where its energy is being wasted on creatures that will never understand its value. But let's be honest about what really keeps men stuck. It's not love, it's fear. Fear that you won't find someone else. Fear that you've invested too much time to walk away now. Fear that maybe you're overreacting. Fear that you're not worthy of better treatment. These fears make you negotiate with disrespect. They make you rationalize behavior you'd never accept from a friend. They turn you into a version of yourself you don't recognize. But here's what fear doesn't tell you. Every moment you spend trying to earn respect from someone who's decided you don't deserve it is a moment stolen from finding someone who sees your value naturally. Seneca said, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." Your attachment to what isn't working is preventing you from discovering what could work. Here's what separates strong men from weak ones. Strong men don't need external validation to know their worth. They don't need someone else to treat them well to feel good about themselves. When your sense of value comes from within, you don't negotiate with people who don't appreciate what you offer. You don't try to convince anyone of your worth. You simply move toward people in situations that recognize it naturally. This isn't about being cold or unforgiving. It's about having such a clear sense of your own value that you naturally gravitate toward people who see it too. The man who knows his worth doesn't get angry when others don't see it. He doesn't argue or plead or try to prove himself. He simply finds people who do see it, because he understands that his energy is too valuable to waste on those who don't. Here's something counterintuitive. The moment you become genuinely willing to walk away is often the moment respect returns. Not because leaving is a manipulation tactic, but because your willingness to prioritize your standards over your attachments fundamentally changes your energy. When someone realizes they can actually lose you, not through threats or ultimatums, but through your quiet, unwavering commitment to your own dignity, they often remember why they valued you in the first place. But here's the crucial part. By the time you're genuinely ready to leave, you might not want them to change, because you've remembered something more important than their approval: your own peace. This is the paradox of authentic power. The moment you stop needing someone to respect you is the moment they often start to IP. But by then, their respect might not matter to you anymore. This isn't just about romantic relationships. This principle applies to friendships, family dynamics, professional relationships, any situation where someone has grown comfortable disrespecting you. The people who consistently add value to your life rarely test your boundaries. They don't need to, because they appreciate what you bring and want to keep it. The people who consistently subtract value from your life will test you until you teach them to stop, either by enforcing your standards or by removing yourself from their ability to violate them. Your boss who takes credit for your work, your friend who only calls when they need something, your family member who treats you like an emotional dumping ground, the same principles apply everywhere. When I say leave when she does this, I'm not talking about leaving at the first disagreement or moment of conflict. Healthy relationships have friction. I'm talking about leaving when disrespect becomes the norm rather than the exception. When someone makes you feel like you have to earn basic respect, when your peace becomes conditional on walking on eggshells, When you find yourself constantly defending your right to have standards, when you're more focused on avoiding their bad moods than pursuing your own goals, when you start questioning your own reality because they've convinced you that your standards are unreasonable, these aren't relationship problems. They're life problems that happen to be manifesting in your relationship. Remember this: the standard you accept is the standard you deserve. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because you're teaching people how to treat you with every boundary you don't enforce. If you tolerate disrespect, you're communicating that disrespect is acceptable. If you stay where you're not valued, you're communicating that your value is negotiable. Your time, energy, and emotional investment are finite resources. The question isn't whether you should demand respect. It's whether you should invest these resources in people who demonstrate through their actions that they don't value them. Every day you spend trying to earn what should be freely given is a day you're not spending building something meaningful with someone who appreciates what you offer. Here's something most men don't realize. When you finally start enforcing your standards, it doesn't just change your romantic relationships, it transforms your entire life. You start speaking up at work when colleagues try to take advantage of you. You stop lending money to friends who never pay you back. You quit making excuses for family members who treat you poorly. You realize that the muscle you build by standing up for yourself in one area of life makes you stronger in all areas. Self-respect is like physical fitness. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Here's what happens when you finally prioritize your standards over your attachments. You remember what peace feels like. You stop walking on eggshells. You stop analyzing every interaction for signs of disapproval. You stop trying to earn what should be freely given. You remember that your value isn't determined by someone else's ability to see it. You remember that your peace is more important than anyone's presence. And paradoxically, this is when you become most attractive, not because you're trying to be, but because people are drawn to those who are comfortable in their own worth. The energy you are spending on managing someone else's disrespect gets redirected toward building your own life. Your creativity returns, your ambition resurfaces, your natural charisma, which was being drained by constant emotional management, comes back online. Years from now, you'll look back on the moment you chose to leave toxic situations, and you'll realize it was the moment your real life began. Not because leaving was easy, but because staying would have cost you something you can never get back: your authentic self. The woman who respected your decision to leave, who understood that a man with standards is a man worth having, she might be the one who's still there. The one who fought your boundaries, who tried to negotiate your dignity, who made you feel crazy for having standards, she be a distant memory. The Stoics understood something we've forgotten. Your inner state is your most valuable possession. Anyone who consistently disrupts your peace without adding equivalent value to your life is stealing from you. You don't owe anyone your diminishment. You don't owe anyone your stress. You don't owe anyone your self-respect in exchange for their attention. The woman worth keeping is the one who adds to your peace, not the one who holds it hostage. The relationship worth fighting for is the one where respect is the foundation, not the prize you have to earn daily. This isn't about being perfect or never making mistakes. It's about recognizing when someone has made violating your boundaries their default mode of operation. It's about understanding that some people test you not to see if you're strong enough to be their partner, but to see if you're weak enough to be their victim. Your ancestors knew this instinctively. They understood that a man who doesn't value himself can't protect anything or anyone else. They knew that strength isn't measured by what you can tolerate, but by what you refuse to accept. They understood that walking away from disrespect isn't abandonment, it's leadership. You're leading by example, showing others how people of value should be treated. You're teaching the world that your dignity isn't for sale, your peace isn't negotiable, and your respect must be earned, not demanded. The choice is always yours. You can spend your life trying to earn respect from people who've decided you're not worth respecting, or you can invest your energy in people and situations that recognize your value naturally. One path leads to endless frustration and diminished self-worth. The other leads to peace, clarity, and relationships built on mutual respect and genuine appreciation. Choose wisely. Your future self is counting on it. And somewhere out there, the right person is waiting for someone who values themselves enough to walk away from what's wrong so they can walk toward what's right. If this changed how you think about standards and relationships, comment below. I choose my peace. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share it with them. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is remind them of their own worth.